Night has fallen once again. The world outside slows into stillness, and the air around you feels heavy with silence. Take a slow breath in, hold it gently, and let it go. Feel your body becoming lighter, as if the weight of the day is slowly dissolving into the darkness. You are no longer simply sitting in a room. You are stepping into a quiet space of reflection, a place where questions flow more freely than answers. Above you, the sky is filled with stars, each one a distant flame, burning with a light that has traveled across millions of years, just to reach your eyes tonight. The universe does not hurry. It does not explain itself, yet it continues to shine. And beneath that ancient sky, one question begins to rise, like a whisper in your mind. Can ultimate truth ever be found? The seed of wonder. Humans have always lived with questions. From the earliest days, when our ancestors gazed at the heavens with fear and awe, to the present moment, when telescopes peer into galaxies, and philosophers write books that stretch across centuries, the question of truth has never left us. What is real? What is illusion? Is there a truth beyond opinion? Beyond perception? Beyond time? The thought itself is unsettling, because if ultimate truth exists, then perhaps it waits for us to find it. But if it does not, then everything we know may be nothing more than shadows on a wall. The first step. Close your eyes again. Imagine yourself walking along a quiet path at night. The ground beneath your feet is cool. The air brushes against your skin. You hear the faint sound of wind through the trees. And as you walk, you notice something strange. Every step feels both solid and fragile. The earth is firm, yet your mind whispers, "How do I know this is real?" The search for truth begins here. Not in books or equations, but in the simple act of noticing. Noticing that the world feels real, but asking why you believe it. Noticing that thoughts arise, but wondering where they come from. Noticing that you exist, but asking what existence really means. A question older than time. The question of truth is not new. It is older than history, older than language, perhaps as old as humanity itself. Plato once described human life as if we were prisoners in a cave, watching shadows on the wall, mistaking them for reality. Buddhist teachers spoke of illusion, of seeing the world through a veil, and urged seekers to look deeper. And even now, in a world of science and technology, the question has not gone away. If anything, it feels stronger than ever, because the more we know, the more we realize. How much remains uncertain? The silence of the stars. Look again at the night sky. The stars do not argue. They do not explain. They simply are. Perhaps truth is like this. Not a thing to be captured, not a formula to be solved, but a presence to be felt. The silence of the stars does not answer your question, but it does something else. It makes the question deeper. Why do you ask at all? Why does your heart ache for something called truth? And why, in this vast universe, does the word feel so heavy, so important? Toward the journey, the whisper of truth will not leave you. It stays like a companion walking at your side. You do not yet know what truth island. You do not know if it can be found. But you do know this. The search itself has already begun. And so, beneath the silent stars, you take your first step, not toward answers, but toward the path of questions, toward a journey that will carry you through philosophy and science, through faith and doubt, through silence and wonder. And at the heart of it all, the question remains, can ultimate truth ever be found? The path stretches forward, and as you walk, the whisper of truth grows louder. But before you can ask if truth exists, you must pause and wonder, what do we even mean by truth? Layers of meaning, At first, truth may seem simple. It is what is real, what is correct, what matches the facts. If the sun rises tomorrow, and you say, "The sun will rise," you have spoken the truth. If water freezes at 0 degrees, and you declare it so, you are aligned with reality. Truth, in this sense, is correspondence, a statement matching the world. But truth is not only this. There are other layers, other meanings that slip quietly into the word. Truth as agreement. Sometimes truth is not about the world, but about people. When a community shares a belief, when a culture accepts a story, that story becomes true for them. Not because it is proven, but because it is lived. Truth as consensus. Truth as agreement. It shifts with time. What one generation accepts, another may reject. What one culture embraces, another may deny. And so, truth here is not eternal, but woven into history, into human bonds. Truth as inner honesty. There is also truth of another kind, the truth of the heart. When you speak honestly, when your words match your feelings, when you admit what you really are, you are living truth. This is not about science, nor about society. It is about integrity, about being whole. This kind of truth is deeply personal, but no less real, the tension of truth. So already, the word truth carries many faces. Truth as fact, truth as agreement, truth as honesty. And perhaps there are others still. Truth as divine revelation, truth as eternal law, truth as silence beyond words. No wonder humanity struggles. When we ask, can truth be found? We may not even be asking the same question. The fragility of knowing. Pause here. Look around you in the imagination of night. Every tree, every stone, every star, they seem to be there, solid and clear. But how do you know? You see with eyes. Oh, you hear with ears. You feel with touch. And yet, senses deceive. The stick in water looks bent. The sun seems to circle the earth. The horizon looks like an edge, though we know the world is round. If truth depends on perception, it is fragile. If it depends on reason, it is limited. If it depends on belief, it is divided. So what, then, is truth? Sitting with the question. Take another slow breath. Let the thoughts settle like dust in moonlight. Perhaps truth is all of these at once. Perhaps it shifts its shape, depending on where you stand. Or perhaps truth is something larger, something beyond the categories we know. It waits in silence, beyond perception, beyond reason, beyond agreement. And maybe, just maybe, the journey to truth is less about arriving at certainty and more about deepening the question. Toward the next step, the stars above continue to burn. They do not debate what Truth Island. They simply shine. But you, walking beneath their light, carry the question further. If truth has many meanings, then how did humans first begin to seek it? Where did this longing for certainty begin? Ahead lies the wisdom of the ancients, the philosophers who first tried to hold truth in their hands. The stars above are older than memory, and as you walk beneath their quiet glow, you begin to feel the weight of history, not just of the cosmos, but of human thought. For the question of truth did not begin tonight, nor yesterday. It began long ago, when ancient minds first looked at the world and wondered what was real. The dawn of philosophy. In Greece, thousands of years ago, thinkers gathered in city squares, in temples, by the sea. They asked questions not of gods alone, but of nature, of reason, of truth itself. They were the first to seek explanations that did not depend only on myth, but on thought. Thales looked at water and wondered if it was the foundation of all things. Heraclitus gazed at rivers and declared that all is change, that truth itself may be the flow of becoming. These were the first sparks flickering in the dark. Socrates, the midwife of truth. But then came Socrates. He did not write books. He did not leave polished theories. Instead, he asked questions endlessly. He walked through Athens, speaking to merchants, to poets, to politicians. He asked them what they knew, what they believed, what truth they held. And slowly, gently, he revealed that many did not know what they thought they knew. Socrates claimed he was wise only in one thing, that he knew he did not know. For him, truth was not a possession, but a journey, not an answer, but a dialogue. This humility, this endless questioning, became the root of philosophy. Plato, truth beyond the shadows. Socrates' student, Plato, took the search further. He imagined a world of perfect forms, unchanging, eternal, beyond the shifting illusions of the senses. In his famous allegory of the cave, he described humans as prisoners, watching shadows on a wall, believing them to be reality. But truth, he said, was not in the shadows. It was in the light outside the cave, in the realm of eternal ideas. For Plato, truth was transcendent. It was beauty, justice, goodness, not as we see them here, but in their pure, perfect essence. To find truth was to turn away from illusion, to climb out of the cave, and to face the blinding light of reality itself. Aristotle, truth in the world. But Plato's student, Aristotle, chose another path. He believed truth was not far away, hidden in a separate realm. It was here, in the world around us, if only we looked closely. Aristotle studied plants, animals, stars, and human behavior. He sought patterns, causes, the principles that governed reality. For him, truth was correspondence. When our thoughts match the way the world truly island. To say the tree is green is true, if, in fact, the tree is green. Simple, clear, grounded. While Plato looked upward to eternal forms, Aristotle looked outward, to nature, to observation, to reason. And from him, the seeds of science began to grow. Truth in other traditions. Though Greece gave us philosophy, it was not alone. In India, the Upanishads whispered of Brahman, the ultimate reality, the eternal truth beyond appearances. In China, Confucius spoke of truth as harmony, as living in accordance with virtue, with the way of heaven. In Taoism, truth was the Tao itself, a path, a flow, something that cannot be captured in words, only followed. These ancient traditions remind us, the search for truth is not the work of one culture, but of humanity itself. Across deserts and mountains, temples and forests, people ask the same question. What is real? What is true? The legacy of the ancients. Pause for a moment. Imagine those first seekers. Socrates walking through Athens, his voice gentle yet sharp. Plato sketching forms of beauty and justice, dreaming of a perfect realm. Aristotle, notebook in hand, observing the smallest details of life. And beyond Greece, sages sitting in silence, mystics breathing in stillness, poets chanting hymns to truth. They did not agree. They argued, contradicted, challenged one another. But in their diversity, they gave us something priceless. A reminder that the search for truth is the essence of being human. Toward the next horizon. The stars above have watched all of this. They saw the birth of philosophy, The rise of sages. The questions whispered across time, and they still shine now, as you walk forward, carrying the same question they carried. If truth is not illusion, not shadow, then where is it found? Is it in reason? In faith? In silence? Or somewhere beyond them all? The ancients lit the first torches, but the path continues, winding forward, leading you into the wisdom of the East, where emptiness itself is said to hold the secret of truth. The stars above you seem softer now, as though they carry whispers from ancient lands far across mountains and seas. For while Greece searched for truth through reason and debate, the East followed a different path, a quieter, more inward journey. Here, truth was not always a concept to be defined, but a way to be lived. The Upanishads, truth as ultimate reality. In ancient India, the sages of the Upanishads spoke of Brahman, the eternal, unchanging reality, beneath the surface of all things. Brahman is not a god among gods. It is the source, the ground of being, the truth behind the universe. And within each person, they said, is Atman, the true self, the spark of consciousness that is one with Brahman. To know truth, then, is not to collect facts. It is to realize the unity between Atman and Brahman, the self and the infinite. This was not truth as correspondence, not truth as consensus, but truth as awakening. The Buddha, truth in emptiness. Centuries later, the Buddha walked the dusty roads of India and offered another vision. He spoke of dukkha, suffering, restlessness, dissatisfaction, as the basic condition of life. And he taught that freedom comes, not from clinging to illusions, but from seeing reality as it truly island. For the Buddha, truth was not in permanence. It was in impermanence. All things arise and pass away. All is change, flowing like a river. And beneath this flow is shunyata, emptiness. But emptiness does not mean nothingness. It means that nothing exists on its own. Everything is interdependent, woven together in a vast web. Truth, then, is to see this web clearly, to realize that self and world, being and non-being, are not separate. Taoism, the way beyond words. Travel east to China, and the Taoists spoke of another mystery, the Tao. The Tao is the way, the flowing source of all things. It gives birth to the 10,000 forms of the world, yet cannot be named. Lao Tzu began the Tao Te Ching with these words. The Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. Truth here is not a statement to prove, but a way to live. To follow the Tao is to live in harmony with the natural flow, to bend like the reed in the wind, to move with the current of life, rather than against it. The Tao is silence, emptiness, the fertile void from which all arises. To seek it too aggressively is to miss it. To let it guide you is to find truth without effort. Confucius, truth in harmony. Meanwhile, another sage, Confucius, looked not at the cosmos, but at human life. For him, truth was not hidden in the stars, or in mystical silence. It was found in virtue, in living rightly within society, in honoring family, in cultivating harmony. Truth here was moral, practical, woven into relationships. It was not the abstract truth of philosophers, nor the cosmic truth of mystics, but the lived truth of daily life. A different kind of search. Eastern wisdom, in its many forms, teaches that truth is not simply about knowing. It is about being. To know Brahman, you must awaken. To follow the Buddha, you must let go. To walk with the Tao, you must yield. To live with Confucius, you must practice virtue. Truth is not found in libraries or arguments. It is discovered in silence, in stillness, in how you live each breath. Reflection in the night. Pause again. Take a slow breath in and release. Feel the vastness around you. Notice the stillness inside you. Perhaps truth is not a final answer. Perhaps it is a way of walking, a path to be traveled, a balance to be kept. The East reminds us, truth is not always something to grasp. Sometimes it is something to surrender into, toward the next horizon. The stars above shimmer like lanterns, guiding you forward. From the West, you have seen truth as reason, as idea, as correspondence. From the East, you have seen truth as awakening, as emptiness, as harmony. And now, as you continue walking, another thought arises. What about the truth of science? The truths that can be measured, tested, and repeated? Ahead lies another landscape, where the language of mathematics and the precision of experiments join the human search for truth. The stars above continue their silent glow, but now the path you walk begins to shift. The air feels sharper, as though precision itself has entered the night. You have walked through philosophy and mysticism, through shadows and silence. Now you step into a world of numbers, experiments, and evidence, the world of science, the scientific spirit. Science begins not with certainty, but with doubt. It asks, what if I test this? What if I observe again? What if I measure more carefully? Unlike myth or dogma, science does not rely on authority alone. It builds truth slowly, layer by layer, through observation, through replication, through evidence that anyone can test. This is the scientific spirit, humble, patient, and willing to change. When new facts appear, the laws of nature, from this spirit arose discoveries that reshaped human life. Galileo turned his telescope upward and saw moons circling Jupiter, challenging the belief that Earth was the center of all things. Newton watched the fall of an apple and glimpsed the law of gravity, a truth that bound the heavens and the earth together. Einstein bent space and time themselves, revealing that reality was stranger, yet more beautiful, than anyone had imagined. Through science, truth appeared not as opinion, but as law, patterns written into the fabric of the cosmos. The strength and fragility of science. Science is powerful, but also fragile. Its truths are strong, because they can be tested. If an experiment fails, the claim must change. If evidence shifts, the theory must evolve. But this also means that scientific truth is never final. Newton's laws once seemed absolute until relativity expanded them. Classical physics seemed complete until quantum mechanics revealed deeper mysteries. Science does not say, "This is the eternal truth." It says, "This is what we know so far," until we know more. Objective and yet human. Science strives for objectivity. It tries to separate truth from bias, fact from opinion. But science is still human. It is shaped by culture, by funding, by imagination. The questions we ask depend on the minds that ask them. So even in science, truth is not pure and untouched. It is filtered through human hands. And yet, despite these limits, science remains our best tool for glimpsing the order of the universe, the beauty of discovery. Take a slow breath. Look again at the stars in your imagination. Through science, we know their light is ancient. We know they burn through nuclear fusion, turning hydrogen into helium, forging the very elements in your body. Through science, we know the universe is expanding, born from a fiery beginning, nearly 14 billion years ago. Through science, we know that life itself is written in a double helix, a spiral of DNA, a code that connects you to every living thing. These are not guesses. They are truths, not absolute, but astonishing, grounded in evidence, shared by all who look and measure. The humility of science. But science also teaches humility. For every answer found, new questions open. For every law discovered, a deeper mystery emerges. Why do the laws of physics exist at all? Why does mathematics describe reality so perfectly? Why is the universe understandable? Science can trace the river of knowledge, further and further upstream. But when it reaches the source, the question remains, why is there something rather than nothing? Here, even science must bow to mystery, walking forward. So you walk on, carrying the gifts of science, clarity, method, and wonder. But you also carry its humility, the recognition that knowledge is partial, that truth is layered, that even our greatest discoveries do not silence the question. Ahead lies another challenge, the realization that truth is not only objective, but also relative. That what is true for one culture, for one mind, may not be true for another. The path bends toward relativity, toward the shifting ground, where truth depends on where you stand. The night feels different now. The air carries a subtle shift, as though the ground beneath your feet is less solid than before. You have walked with science, with its careful methods and precise truths. But now you face a different landscape, where truth itself seems to bend and move, changing depending on who you are, where you stand, and how you see. This is the problem of relativity. Truth as perspective. Imagine standing on a mountain. From your side, you see valleys, rivers, and a distant horizon. But on the opposite side, another traveler sees forests, villages, and the rising Sunday, whose view is true, both, yet neither tells the whole. Truth, in this sense, is bound to perspective. It is not a single image, but a mosaic, pieces that change, depending on where you stand. Cultural truths. The same is true of human culture. For one society, truth may be found in ancestors, rituals, and sacred traditions. For another, truth may rest in reason, logic, and individual freedom. What is considered true in one time and place may be doubted or denied in another. The earth once seemed flat. The heavens once seemed eternal. The body once seemed ruled by humors. Truth is not only discovered, it is also created, sustained, and reshaped by culture itself. Language and truth. Even language bends truth. When you speak of love, justice, or beauty, what do you mean? Each word carries layers of meaning, shaped by culture, shaped by experience. The philosopher Nietzsche once said, "Truths are illusions, we have forgotten our illusions." Words do not capture reality as it island. They are symbols, useful, but never perfect. So if our very language is relative, how can truth escape this web? Einstein's relativity. The word relativity also belongs to science. Einstein showed that even space and time are not absolute. They bend with speed, with gravity, with perspective. To one observer, events may appear simultaneous. To another, they do not. Reality itself is relative. To the frame of reference, this is not just philosophy. It is physics, and it reminds us that truth is not always fixed. Sometimes it flows with the observer. The fragility of certainty. Pause here. Take a slow breath. Notice how unsettling this island. You want truth to be solid, unchanging, eternal. But relativity whispers that certainty is fragile. That what you see is only part of the picture. That your truth may not be the whole truth. This can be frightening, but it can also be freeing. The gift of relativity. Relativity teaches humility. It reminds you that your view is not the only view, that your culture, your time, your language are only one thread in a vast tapestry. By seeing this, you can open yourself to others, to their truths, their perspectives, their ways of knowing. Perhaps no single person, no single culture can hold all of truth, but together we hold pieces of it beyond relativity. And yet, relativity raises a haunting question. If truth shifts with perspective, is there any truth that does not shift? Is there a deeper ground beneath the changing views? A foundation that holds for all? Or is truth only ever partial, local, temporary, never absolute? The stars above do not answer, but their light reminds you that even as perspectives differ, something endures. The light shines, whatever name you give it, toward the next horizon. So you walk on, carrying both the burden and the gift of relativity. Truth may be fragile, but it is also shared. It may be partial, but it opens doors to dialogue, to humility, to compassion. And as you continue, the path bends once again toward religion and the promise of absolute truth, a truth said to be eternal, unchanging, beyond all human relativity. The night grows heavier now. The stars still shine, but their light feels ancient, as though carrying messages from beyond time itself. You have walked through philosophy, through science, through the shifting ground of relativity. And now you arrive at another landscape, one that has shaped humanity for millennia, the realm of religion. Here, truth is not partial. It is not relative. It is absolute, unchanging, eternal, and revealed. The human longing for certainty. From the beginning, humans have sought more than facts. They have longed for meaning, for guidance, for answers that do not change with time or perspective. Religion answers this longing. It declares that beyond the shifting world, there is a truth that endures, a truth not made by humans, but given to them. This truth is not discovered by experiment, nor debated endlessly in philosophy. It is revealed through prophets, through scriptures, through the voice of the divine. The Abrahamic traditions. In the West, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam all speak of one God, eternal and unchanging. For them, truth is not an idea, but a person, a presence, a will. God is the source of being, the ground of morality, the author of meaning. To know truth, then, is to know God. In these traditions, truth is not relative, nor fragile. It is firm, a rock upon which life can be built. Eastern religions and absolute truth. In the East, religions also speak of ultimate truth. Hinduism describes Sanatana Dharma, the eternal order, the cosmic law that underlies all existence. Buddhism, though often emphasizing impermanence, still speaks of the Dharma, the truth of reality that leads to liberation. Even Taoism, which resists rigid definitions, holds the Tao as ultimate, a truth so vast it cannot be broken, only followed. Truth as revelation. What makes religious truth distinct is its claim of revelation. Science says, test this for yourself. Philosophy says, think this through. But religion says, receive this truth. It has been given to you. This can be comforting. To rest in a truth greater than yourself. To trust that meaning is not invented, but bestowed. It can also be challenging, for different religions offer different revelations. And when truths collide, conflict often follows. Faith and certainty. Take a slow breath. Feel the tension here. To believe in religious truth is to trust. It is to place faith in something that cannot be fully proven, yet is deeply felt. For the believer, faith is not weakness. It is strength, a way of seeing beyond doubt, of grounding life in certainty. But for the skeptic, faith can feel fragile, a leap too far, a claim too bold. And so the question lingers. Is absolute truth truly given? Or is it sought endlessly by human hearts? The gift of religion, regardless of belief. Religion has given humanity a sense of direction. It has inspired cathedrals and temples, poetry and music, compassion and justice. It has also caused conflict and division, each claiming to hold the one truth. But beneath the arguments, religion reminds us of something universal, the human longing for a truth that does not change. Toward the next horizon, the stars above remain, untouched by human words. They shine equally on believer and skeptic, on priest and philosopher, on you walking quietly below. Religion promises absolute truth, but whether one accepts it or not, the longing for certainty remains. And so you walk on, carrying both faith and doubt, toward another kind of truth, not revealed by gods, not debated by philosophers, but lived within each person's heart. Ahead lies the realm of subjective truth, the truth of inner honesty, the truth of your own experience. The night is quiet, but within you, a softer voice begins to rise. It does not come from the stars above, nor from sacred scriptures, nor from scientific instruments. It comes from within. For beyond facts and revelations, there is another kind of truth, the truth of experience, the truth of the heart, the landscape within. Close your eyes. Feel the rhythm of your breath. Notice the subtle beat of your heart. These are not abstract ideas. They are direct experiences. No one can live them for you. No one can deny them when you feel them. When you are in love, you know it. When you grieve, you know it. When you feel joy or sorrow, those truths belong to you, no matter what others may say. Subjective truths may not be universal, but they are real as the stars above. Honesty of the self. Subjective truth is often linked to authenticity, the honesty of living in alignment with who you are. To speak truth, in this sense, is not just to state facts, but to reveal yourself, to live without masks, to show the world your genuine heart. Philosopher Kierkegaard once said, "Truth is subjectivity." By this, he did not mean that all facts are relative, but that the deepest truths are those you live personally. Faith, love, commitment, these cannot be measured in equations. They are truths carried in the soul, the weight of experience. But subjective truth is not always gentle. It can be heavy, even painful. When you suffer, that suffering is true to you. When you face fear or despair, no external argument can erase that reality. And yet, within subjective truth lies a paradox. It is deeply real to the individual, but invisible to others. No one can fully know your inner world. No one can feel your truth. As you feel it, this isolation is both a burden and a gift. The world of perspectives. Now imagine billions of people, each carrying their own inner truths. A mother holding the truth of love for her child. An artist holding the truth of beauty in creation. A believer holding the truth of divine presence. A skeptic holding the truth of doubt. Each is real, each is valid, yet none is identical. Together, these subjective truths weave the fabric of human life. They give rise to cultures, to stories, to art and meaning, the power and the danger. Subjective truth empowers us. It makes life meaningful, personal, alive. But it also carries danger. For if each person clings only to their own truth, without listening to others, division follows. The challenge, then, is to honor your truth, while remaining open to the truths of others. For perhaps it is in dialogue, in the meeting of subjective worlds, that we glimpse something larger. Reflection in the night. Take another breath. Feel the presence of your own truth. Maybe it is calm. Maybe it is restless. Maybe it is filled with questions that have no words. Whatever it is yours. And in honoring it, you honor the mystery of being human. The stars above may shine with objectivity, but within you burns a smaller flame, a truth no less important, no less real. Toward the next horizon, the night reminds you that truth has many faces. Objective truth, absolute truth, subjective truth. Each plays its part, each carries weight. But ahead lies another shadow, the truth of illusion, the false truths we mistake for real. For if our senses can deceive, if our minds can be tricked, then how can we be certain that any truth is truly secure? The path bends toward illusions, toward the fragile line between truth and falsehood. The night deepens. The stars above are steady, yet your steps feel less certain now. For even as you carry truths, objective, absolute, subjective, a troubling thought arises. What if truth itself can be deceived? The fragility of the senses. From the moment you were born, your senses have been your guides. Sight, sound, touch, taste, smell. They tell you the world is real. But senses can lie. Look at a stick in water. It seems bent, though it is straight. Listen on a hot road. You hear the shimmer of air that makes voices waver. At the horizon, the sun seems to sink into the sea, though you know the earth is round. What you see and hear is not always what island. And so, if senses are fragile, how can they carry truth? The tricks of the mind. But deception runs deeper. Your mind itself creates illusions. You remember events, not as they happened, but as you reshape them. You see patterns in clouds, faces in shadows, meaning where none exists. Cognitive biases bend your thoughts. You believe what confirms your views, ignore what challenges them, cling to falsehoods, because they are comfortable. Even in dreams, the mind builds entire worlds. Convincing, vivid, yet vanishing when you wake. How then can you be certain that waking life is not another dream? Philosophical doubts. Philosophers have long wrestled with this. Descartes doubted everything, wondering if an evil demon was deceiving his senses. He concluded only one truth was undeniable. I think, therefore I am. Others asked, how do we know the world outside our minds is real? What if all is illusion? A vast stage upon which we dream? These questions unsettle, for they place truth itself in shadow. Modern echoes. Today, illusions take new forms. Virtual realities mimic the real. Deepfakes blur the line between truth and fabrication. Media spins narratives until falsehoods feel solid. The age of information is also the age of misinformation. And so the challenge grows greater, to know what is real, to separate truth from trickery. The human desire for truth. Pause here, take a slow breath, notice how your heart longs for something certain, something firm beneath shifting sands. Illusions disturb us, because they remind us that we are fragile, that our eyes, ears, and minds are not perfect mirrors of reality. Yet this longing itself is a sign of something deeper, a desire for truth beyond deception. The gift of doubt. Though illusions unsettle, they also sharpen us. By doubting appearances, we look deeper. By questioning memories, we seek evidence. By recognizing bias, we practice humility. Illusions remind us that truth is not cheap. It must be tested, refined, and lived carefully. The light beyond shadows. Look up once more at the night sky. The stars are real, though their light is old. Their positions shifted since the beams first left them. Even here, truth carries both reality and illusion. The light you see, that is not where the star is now. But does that make it false? Or is it simply another layer of truth? Another reminder that reality is more complex than it seems, toward the next horizon. So you walk on, aware that illusions surround you. Truth is fragile, but the search is stronger. And as you step forward, another thought emerges. If language itself shapes how we see, if words bend and frame reality, then perhaps truth is bound, not only by senses and mind, but by the very language we use. Ahead lies the next mystery, the problem of words, and how language both reveals and hides the truth. The path beneath your feet grows quieter. The wind has softened, and all around you is silence. Except for one thing, the words in your own mind. For even as you search for truth, you realize you are searching with language. Every question, every answer, is framed in words. But what if words themselves are not faithful mirrors of reality? Words as windows. At their best, words are windows. They open into meaning, connecting one mind to another. When you say tree, another person imagines. A tall form with branches, perhaps leaves swaying in the wind. Language bridges the gap between inner worlds. Through words, we share knowledge, pass wisdom across generations, record truths in books and teachings. Without language, truth might remain locked in isolated minds, words as walls. And yet, words can also be walls. They divide reality into categories that may not truly exist. We say day and night, but in between lies twilight. We say alive and dead, but in between lies decay, transformation, rebirth. Language simplifies what is complex. It forces the infinite into finite boxes, and in doing so, it distorts. As the Tao Te Ching reminds us, the Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. The illusion of definition. We often believe that if we can name something, we have captured its truth. But naming is not knowing. Calling water H2O describes its structure, but not its coolness, its clarity, its taste on a hot day. Calling love a chemical reaction describes its biology, but not the trembling joy of holding someone close. Words define, but they do not exhaust reality. The power of stories. Still, language holds great power. Through stories, we shape how truth is seen. Myths explain the world. Religions guide morality. Science builds theories that allow us to predict and act. Each story carries truth in its own way. But stories can also mislead. They can become illusions, more powerful than facts. What we call truth is often shaped by the narratives we choose to believe. The silence beyond words. Pause for a moment. Take a slow breath. Notice the silence between words. Sometimes, truth is not spoken. It is felt. It arises in a moment of awe, in silence shared between two people. In the stillness of meditation, Zen masters often remind their students that words are only fingers pointing at the moon. If you cling to the finger, you miss the light. Perhaps truth lives in the silence that words cannot touch. Philosophy of language. Thinkers like Wittgenstein argued that language is a game, a tool with rules. Truth, then, is not absolute, but depends on the framework of words we use. Different languages carve reality differently. Some have many words for snow, others none. Some distinguish between shades of blue, others see them as one. So even perception itself is colored by the words we inherit. If truth is filtered through language, can it ever be pure? Toward the next horizon, you walk on, carrying both the gift and burden of words. They reveal and conceal. They connect and divide. They open windows and build walls. And yet, you cannot step outside them completely. To search for truth, you must still speak, still think, still name. But perhaps truth is not fully captured by words. Perhaps it is lived, felt, and experienced. Ahead lies another horizon. The philosophy of existence itself, where thinkers like Heidegger and Sartre ask not only about truth, but about being. The path now leads into existential thought, where truth is not abstract, but embodied in the way you live. The night feels heavier now, as if the stars themselves lean closer, listening to the quiet questions in your heart. You have walked through reason, through religion, through language, and now you step into another realm, the realm of existence itself. Here, truth is not an idea. It is an experience, not a definition, but a way of being. Kierkegaard, truth as subjectivity. Long before existentialism had a name, Søren Kierkegaard whispered a radical thought. Truth is subjectivity. For him, the deepest truths were not facts you could prove, but choices you could live. To believe in God, to love deeply, to commit fully. These were truths, not because they were logically certain, but because they demanded the whole self. Kierkegaard saw truth as a leap, not into illusion, but into authenticity, a leap into living fully, the reality of your own existence. Heidegger, truth as unconcealment. Decades later, Martin Heidegger reframed truth once again. He said truth was not about matching statements to facts. It was about unconcealment, about letting reality reveal itself. We live, Heidegger said, in forgetfulness of being. We treat the world as objects to use, tools to manipulate. But true existence means letting things show themselves as they are. To sit with a tree, not as timber, not as resource, but as presence. Truth, then, is not just accuracy. It is openness. It is dwelling with being, without trying to control it. Sought truth in freedom. Jean-Paul Sartre took another path. For him, truth was rooted in freedom. Humans are condemned to be free, thrown into existence, with no script, no ultimate guide. This is frightening, but it is also liberating. Truth, then, is not handed down. It is created through choice, through the way you live, the actions you take, the meaning you carve from silence. To live authentically is to accept this freedom, to embrace the responsibility of shaping your life. The weight of existence. Pause here. Take a slow breath. Notice how different this is from the truths of science or the revelations of religion. Existential truth does not ask, "What is the universe?" It asks, "How will you live within it?" It does not demand certainty. It demands honesty. It demands courage. For to live authentically is to admit your finitude, your mortality, and still choose to create meaning. Living, not knowing. Existential thinkers remind us, truth is not always about knowledge. It is about living. You may never know why the universe exists. You may never know the final nature of reality. But you can choose to live with integrity, to act with love, to embrace freedom, even in uncertainty. This, too, is truth. The stars and the self. Look up once more at the stars. They burn with indifferent light. They do not care about your choices. And yet, your choices matter. To you, to those around you, to the story of your life. In the vast silence of the cosmos, existential philosophy whispers, truth is not out there. It is here, in your steps, your breath, your being, toward the next horizon. So you walk forward, carrying the weight of existence, the freedom of choice, the truth of subjectivity. But even as you accept this, another thought arises. What if truth itself is not one, but many? What if the idea of absolute truth is an illusion, a construct shaped by power, by language, by history? Ahead lies postmodern thought, where the certainty of truth begins to dissolve into fragments, and the search grows stranger still. The night sky feels different now. The stars above still shine, but they seem less like eternal beacons and more like fragments of light, scattered across an endless void. You have walked with philosophers of existence who urged you to live truth through authenticity. But now you enter the realm of postmodern thought, where even authenticity, even truth itself, is called into question. Here, truth may not be absolute. It may not even be real. It may be a construction, a story told, a mask worn by power. Nietzsche, The Death of Truth. Before postmodernism had its name, Friedrich Nietzsche sounded the first warning. He declared that God is dead, not as a triumph, but as a diagnosis. The absolute truths of religion, the eternal values of morality, were collapsing under the weight of modern thought. Without God, Nietzsche asked, what becomes of truth? He saw truths as human creations. Illusions we have forgotten are illusions. Metaphors, fictions, turned into idols. In this vision, truth is not discovered. It is invented, shaped by will, by desire, by the hunger for meaning. Foucault, Truth and Power. Michel Foucault pushed further. For him, truth is never innocent. It is always bound to power. What society calls truth is often what serves authority. Schools, prisons, hospitals, religions, governments, all create systems of knowledge, and in doing so, they shape what people believe is true. Truth, then, is not timeless. It is historical, produced within structures of control. To question truth is to question power. Derrida, Truth as Text. Jacques Derrida took the knife deeper still. He argued that truth is always mediated by language, but language itself is slippery, unstable, full of endless differences. Every text can be read in multiple ways. Every meaning carries shadows of other meanings. Thus, truth cannot be pinned down. It is always deferred, always shifting, never final. We search for pure meaning, but we find only traces, echoes, illusions. Lyotard, The End of Grand Narratives. Jean-François Lyotard declared, the end of grand narratives, the sweeping stories of progress, reason, salvation, science, that once gave humanity certainty. In their place, only smaller truths remain, local, plural, fragmented. Truth is no longer one voice, but many. Not a single story, but a chorus of competing tales. The beauty and terror of doubt. Pause here. Take a slow breath. Notice how unsettling this island. If truth is only constructed, then what is left? If all truths are masks, can anything be trusted? And yet, There is freedom here. Postmodern doubt breaks open dogma. It reminds us that no one holds the final word, that every claim must be questioned, that humility is the path forward. Truth may be fragile, but in its fragility, there is possibility. Living with fragments. Perhaps truth is not a fortress, but a mosaic, each piece incomplete, yet together forming patterns that still hold beauty. Perhaps we do not need absolute certainty to live meaningfully. Perhaps we need only enough to move, to love, to wonder. Postmodern thought does not destroy truth. It reshapes it from a monolith into fragments, from eternal law into lived experience. Toward the next horizon, the stars above no longer appear as one great pattern. They are scattered, each shining in its own way. Perhaps this is the truest image of postmodern truth. Not a single light, but a constellation of fragments, each seen differently, from different eyes. And as you walk forward, you sense another shift. If truth cannot be held as absolute, then maybe it is something found within, in the quiet honesty of the self, in the journey toward inner authenticity. Ahead lies the question of inner truth, the search for what is real in the depths of your own being. The stars above are countless, scattered like fragments of mystery. But now, as you walk, your gaze slowly turns inward. For if truth outside seems fragile, shifting with power, fractured by perspective, perhaps it is within you that a deeper truth waits to be found. The call of the inner voice. There is a voice inside you, quiet, subtle, often drowned by the noise of the world. It is not the voice of authority, not the voice of culture, not even the voice of philosophy. It is the voice of authenticity, the voice that says, "This is who I am." To live in truth, then, is not only to seek facts or doctrines, but to align with this inner voice, to live in harmony with your deepest self. The challenge of masks. Yet this is not easy. From childhood, we are taught to wear masks. We play roles to be accepted. The obedient child, the loyal worker, the respectable citizen. These roles are not false, but they are not the whole of us. When we confuse the mask for the self, we lose touch with inner truth. To rediscover it is to peel away the layers, to admit when you are afraid, when you are joyful, when you are uncertain, to let the world see you, not as performance, but as person. Psychology and inner truth. Modern psychology speaks of this as authenticity. Carl Jung described the self as the deeper wholeness beneath the conscious mask of the persona. Carl Rogers, the humanist psychologist, believed inner truth emerges when a person feels fully accepted, when they can drop pretenses and simply be who they are. This is not about abstract truth, but about lived truth. The truth of saying, "This is me. I may be imperfect, but I am real." The courage of honesty. Inner truth demands courage. To admit when you are wrong, to confess when you are vulnerable, to stand in your values, even when they cost you something. The world often rewards masks, but the soul longs for authenticity. And when you live in honesty, a strange thing happens. Others recognize it. They feel it. They respond with trust. For truth has a resonance. It shines quietly, like a star that does not need to boast, yet cannot be ignored. Inner truth and spirituality. In many traditions, inner truth is not only psychological, but spiritual. The Hindu Upanishads spoke of Atman, the true self, the spark of the divine within. Christian mystics spoke of conscience, the inner voice of God. Buddhism urged seekers to look inward, to see through illusions, and discover the quiet truth of emptiness. Each in its own way, points to the same reality, that within you lies a doorway, a flame, a seed of truth that cannot be silenced. The fragility of self-deception. But there is danger here too, for the mind is skilled at self-deception. We tell ourselves comforting stories. We justify our actions. We mistake desire for destiny. To find inner truth, you must be vigilant, gentle yet honest. You must ask yourself, what is real? What am I hiding? What am I afraid to admit? Only in this honesty does authenticity grow. Reflection in the night. Pause again. Take a slow, steady breath. Listen not to the world outside, but to the stillness inside. What truths whisper there? What parts of yourself long to be seen? What masks are you ready to set down? This is the heart of inner truth. Not perfection, not certainty, but authenticity. The courage to live as you are. Toward the next horizon, the stars above remind you that truth can be vast, infinite, cosmic, but they also remind you that each star burns from within. So too with you. The light of truth must also burn in the heart. And yet, even as you touch inner truth, another realization emerges. That no matter how much science discovers, how much philosophy explores, how much spirituality reveals, mysteries remain. Ahead lies the meeting point of science and mystery, where knowledge touches its limits, and questions rise that no answer can silence. The path opens wide beneath the stars, and for a moment, you feel the vastness of knowledge itself, stretching out before you. Science has carried humanity far. It has mapped the stars, split the atom, decoded the spiral of DNA. It has pulled lightning from the sky and sent machines beyond the planets. Yet, even here, at the height of discovery, a shadow lingers. For the more science uncovers, the more it reveals. How much remains unknown? The triumph of science. Think of how far we have come. Once, lightning was thought to be the anger of gods. Now we understand electricity, a force that powers our cities, our homes, our very voices across the world. Once, the night sky was a mystery of fire. Now we know the stars are suns, burning through nuclear fusion, forging the elements of life. Once, the body was a mystery. Now we trace its biology, its chemistry, its delicate code written in the double helix of DNA. Science reveals patterns, laws, beauty hidden in numbers. It is a lantern in the dark, the limits of the lantern. And yet, the lantern only shines so far. It can tell us how, but rarely why. It can describe the birth of the universe, but not why the universe exists at all. It can model quantum fields, but not why the laws of quantum mechanics themselves hold. It can imagine multiverses, but not why anything, this, here, now, is real. Science is powerful, but it is not infinite. It reaches a horizon, and beyond it lies silence. Mystery as companion. This silence is not failure. It is mystery. Mystery that humbles the mind. Mystery that reminds us there will always be more. The deeper we look into atoms, the stranger reality becomes. Particles flicker in and out of existence. Probability replaces certainty. The deeper we look into space, the larger it grows. Galaxies stretch beyond sight. Dark matter and dark energy, forces that shape the cosmos, remain hidden, unseen, unknown. Mystery waits at every edge. The human response. How should we respond? One way is frustration. To curse the limits of knowledge, to demand final answers. Another way is wonder. To see the mystery not as a wall, but as an invitation. To let the unknown keep us humble, curious, alive. For perhaps truth is not meant to be fully captured. Perhaps it is meant to draw us forward, always deeper, always further, into awe. The meeting of two worlds. Here, science and philosophy shake hands. Science measures, philosophy questions. Science describes, mysticism gazes. Together they stand at the edge of mystery, each acknowledging that some truths may lie beyond human reach. This is not weakness. It is the essence of wisdom, to know how much you do not know. Reflection in the night. Pause for a moment. Look up at the stars in your mind. Every one of them is a question. Every galaxy a riddle. Every atom a whisper of mystery. And yet, you are here, able to wonder, able to ask, able to walk this path. Perhaps the greatest truth science has revealed is not the answer to all questions, but the vastness of the questions themselves. Toward the next horizon, the stars flicker, but their silence feels less empty now. It feels full, as though mystery itself is alive, guiding you forward. If science ends in mystery, and philosophy thrives in it, then perhaps truth is not about solving, but about holding the question well. Ahead, the path turns toward collective truth. The truths that humanity builds together, not as individuals, but as societies. Truth as agreement, as shared story, as common ground. The stars above continue their endless shining, but as you walk forward, you begin to sense another kind of light. Not the light of suns, but the light of human community. For truth is not only cosmic, not only personal, it is also collective. It lives in the bonds we form, in the stories we share, in the agreements that allow us to live together. The fabric of agreement. From the moment you were born, you stepped into a world of shared truths. Your language, your culture, your laws. All are built from collective belief. Money has value, not because of the paper itself, but because we agree it does. Nations exist, not because of lines on a map, but because people believe in those lines. Justice, honor, dignity. All are truths created, sustained, and defended together. These are not cosmic truths. They are human truths, woven into the fabric of society. The power of narratives. At the heart of collective truth are stories. Myths told around fires, legends passed through generations, histories written in stone and ink. Stories give shape to the world. They tell us who we are, where we came from, what we value. They can inspire nations to rise, religions to flourish, movements to begin. But stories can also deceive. They can be used to divide, to control, to justify cruelty. Collective truth is powerful, but it is never neutral. Rituals and symbols. Collective truth is not only spoken, it is lived. We gather in ceremonies, celebrate holidays, salute flags, sing anthems. These rituals embed truth into our bodies so that it feels natural, inevitable, unchallenged. A piece of cloth becomes sacred. A song becomes a symbol of unity. A gesture becomes a mark of loyalty. Through these acts, truth becomes visible. It is not only believed, it is enacted. The fragility of collective truth. But collective truth is fragile. It changes with time. Empires rise and fall. Beliefs once sacred fade away. What was unquestioned yesterday may be doubted today. Consider slavery, once defended as truth in many societies, now condemned as injustice. Consider the earth, once thought flat, now understood as a sphere. Collective truth evolves, reshaped by new voices, new evidence, new generations. The gift of shared belief. Yet, despite its fragility, collective truth is a gift. It allows strangers to cooperate, to build cities, to form nations, to dream together. Without shared truths, we would live isolated, cut off, adrift. Shared belief may not be absolute, but it gives us belonging. It gives us identity. It gives us purpose. Reflection in the night. Pause for a moment. Take a slow breath. Think of the stories you have carried, the values you were taught, the myths you inherited, the truths you share with others. These are not lies. They are part of being human. They remind us that truth is not only about the cosmos. It is also about community. Each person holds a fragment. Together, we weave a tapestry toward the next horizon. The stars above burn beyond our reach, but the truths of humanity are within our hands. Collective truth reminds us that we are storytellers, builders of meaning, shapers of reality through agreement. But even here, another question emerges. Beyond personal truth, beyond collective truth, beyond science and society, is there a deeper truth, written not by humans, but by the cosmos itself? Ahead lies cosmic truth, the search for universal laws, the order written into the very fabric of existence. The night sky stretches endlessly above you, a cathedral of light and silence. Here, beyond human stories, beyond subjective feelings and cultural agreements, another kind of truth seems to call. A truth written into the fabric of the cosmos itself. This is cosmic truth, the order that governs stars, the patterns that hold galaxies together, the invisible laws that shape all existence. The language of order. From the smallest atom to the largest galaxy, the universe follows rules. Gravity draws bodies together. Light bends through space and time. Particles interact with precision, so fine that entire worlds can form. We call these rules the laws of physics. They are not decreed by kings, not written in sacred books, but discovered in the way the cosmos behaves. 2 and 2 make 4. No matter the culture, no matter the belief, the speed of light holds constant, whether measured by scientist or skeptic. Here, truth feels absolute. Not opinion, not consensus, but structure. The beauty of mathematics. Mathematics is the key to this order. Equations describe the arc of planets, the ripple of waves, the curve of light. Why should this be? Why should human symbols on a page so perfectly capture the rhythm of the stars? The physicist Eugene Wigner once called this the unreasonable effectiveness of mathematics. It is as if the universe itself speaks a mathematical language, and we, by some miracle, have learned to listen. Is this coincidence? Or does it point to a deeper truth? That reality is, at its heart, mathematical, ordered, intelligible, the laws, as mystery. And yet, even these laws raise questions. Why do they exist at all? Why is there gravity? Why quantum fields? Why relativity? Science can describe how they work, but not why they are there. If the laws of the cosmos were even slightly different, stars might not form, planets might not exist, life might never awaken. Some call this fine-tuning evidence of design. Others imagine multiverses, each with different laws, ours simply the one where life is possible. Either way, the existence of order itself is a cosmic mystery, truth beyond humanity. Pause here. Take a slow breath. Look up at the stars in your mind. They do not shine for human eyes alone. They burned long before us, and they will burn long after. Their truth is indifferent to our belief. Whether we see them or not, They are. This is the humbling gift of cosmic truth. It reminds us that reality is larger than humanity, that truth does not depend on us. The spiritual dimension. For many, cosmic truth feels spiritual. To gaze at the laws of nature is to glimpse the divine, to feel the presence of something eternal. Einstein once said he sought to know the thoughts of God. The rest are details. Whether one calls it God, the Tao, or simply the universe, the feeling is the same, that in the laws of the cosmos lies a truth vast and timeless. Reflection in the night. Take another breath. Imagine floating among galaxies, the swirl of stars, the silent dance of orbits, the steady rhythm of cosmic law. You are small, but you are part of this order, made of the same atoms, forged in the hearts of stars, moved by the same forces that bind galaxies. To know this is to touch a truth that is both outside you and within you, toward the next horizon. Cosmic truth humbles and uplifts. It shows us that reality has structure, that existence follows laws, beyond opinion or belief. And yet, even here, questions remain. For if laws govern all, what of silence? What of mystery that no word, no equation, no measurement can touch? Ahead lies another horizon. Truth as silence, truth as presence, truth as the unspeakable reality that lives beyond words. The night is deeper now. The stars above glow, yet their light feels quieter, like whispers you cannot quite hear. You have walked through philosophy, science, religion, subjective experience, collective story, and cosmic law. But beyond all these, there is another realm, a place where truth is not spoken, not measured, not even defined. It is lived in silence, the language of silence. Words seek to capture truth. Equations try to measure it. Doctrines attempt to define it. But silence holds a different kind of knowing. When two friends sit without speaking and still understand each other, that is truth. When you stand at the ocean's edge and no words are needed, that is truth. When you close your eyes, let go of thought, and simply breathe, truth is there too. Silence is not emptiness. It is presence, Zen, and wordless truth. In Zen Buddhism, teachers often remind their students, do not confuse the finger for the moon. Words are the finger. They point, but they are not the light itself. The moon must be seen, not described. So Zen masters give koans, riddles that cannot be solved by logic. What is the sound of one hand clapping? The point is not to answer, but to break the mind free, to let truth be felt directly, beyond language. Mystics and the ineffable. Across traditions, mystics speak of the same silence. The Sufis dance into ecstasy and then fall into wordless stillness. Christian mystics describe God as beyond all names, beyond all speech, a mystery too vast for words. In the Hindu Upanishads, ultimate truth, Brahman, is often described with one phrase, neti, neti, not this, not that, for no word can capture it. Silence becomes the only language left. The modern restlessness. Yet in the modern world, we fill silence with noise. We scroll, we speak, we surround ourselves with sound. But truth hides in quiet places. It waits in the pause between breaths, in the hush of night, in the stillness when thought lets go. Silence is not absence. It is depth, the courage to listen. Silence can be uncomfortable. It strips away distraction. It leaves you face to face with yourself. But if you stay, if you listen, silence reveals more than noise ever could. It teaches humility, that truth is larger than our words. It teaches openness, that reality cannot be confined. It teaches peace, that beneath the noise of the world, there is calm. Reflection in the night. Pause again. Take a slow breath in and release. Notice the silence around you and the silence within. Do you feel it? A presence not demanding to be named, not needing to be proven, yet undeniable. This, too, is truth. Not in words, but in being. Toward the next horizon, the stars continue to shine, but now you do not ask them to explain. Their silence is enough. For perhaps the deepest truth is not spoken, but lived. Not described, but experienced. And yet, as silence settles, another thought arises. If some truths cannot be spoken, then perhaps true wisdom lies not in knowing all answers, but in embracing the humility of not knowing. Ahead lies the next horizon, the humility of uncertainty, the acceptance that truth may remain forever beyond us. The night is nearly complete. The stars above seem calmer now, their light softer, as though they are preparing you for rest. You have traveled far, through philosophy and science, through religion and language, through inner truth and cosmic law. And yet, one realization grows clearer with every step. There are questions that may never be answered. The humility of not knowing is itself a kind of truth. The endless questions. From the beginning, humans have asked, why are we here? What is the meaning of life? Why is there something rather than nothing? Philosophers have debated. Scientists have searched. Mystics have prayed. And still the questions remain. Perhaps they always will. The human mind is vast, but not infinite. We see much, but not all. We grasp part of reality, but never the whole. The temptation of certainty. We long for answers. Certainty feels safe, like solid ground beneath our feet. This is why people cling to dogma, why societies defend their truths fiercely, why we sometimes pretend to know more than we really do. But certainty can be an illusion, and illusions, once shattered, bring suffering. The greater wisdom is to accept uncertainty, to admit, I do not know. The freedom of humility. Strangely, this humility brings freedom. When you no longer demand to have every answer, you are free to wonder. You are free to explore. You are free to live without the weight of perfection. Not knowing does not mean ignorance. It means openness. It means carrying questions, like lanterns through the night, without needing to see the entire path. It means walking in trust, not of answers, but of the journey itself. Ancient wisdom. Many traditions echo this humility. Socrates declared his wisdom lay in knowing, that he knew nothing. Zen teaches that to seek answers too strongly is to miss the truth in the present moment. Mystics remind us that silence, not certainty, is the doorway to the divine. Humility is not weakness. It is strength, the courage to live with mystery. Reflection in the night. Pause here. Take a slow breath. Notice how it feels. To release the need for answers. To let questions remain questions. To accept the mystery. Does it feel lighter? Does it feel calmer? Perhaps peace lives here. In the acceptance of limits. You do not need to know everything. To live meaningfully, you do not need to solve the cosmos. To love, to wonder, to rest. The stars as teachers. Look up once more at the stars. They shine without explanation. They do not speak, yet they fill the night with light. They remind you that existence is not justified. It's simply island. And perhaps that is enough. Perhaps the truest wisdom is not in conquering the mystery, but in bowing to it, toward the next horizon. So you walk forward, humbled, but not defeated. Not knowing does not end the search. It enriches it. It turns truth into a companion, a mystery that walks beside you. Ahead lies another reflection: humanity's eternal role in this endless search, not as masters of truth, but as seekers, witnesses, and storytellers of the mystery. The stars above stretch endlessly, their light carrying the memory of billions of years, and beneath them, you walk with the weight of countless generations. For you are not the first to ask these questions. You are part of a lineage, an unbroken chain of seekers who have looked into the night and wondered. Truth has always been humanity's companion, not because we have found it, but because we cannot stop searching. The first seekers. Imagine the earliest humans sitting around fires in dark caves. They looked at lightning, at death, at the stars above. They told stories, wove myths, created rituals. These were their truths. Not scientific, but meaningful. They gave structure to fear, hope to uncertainty, light to the unknown. Even then, the search had begun, across civilizations. As centuries passed, the search grew richer. Egyptians aligned pyramids with the stars. Babylonians charted the heavens. Chinese sages wrote of balance, harmony, and the Tao. Greek philosophers debated essence and form. Indian mystics described Brahman and Atman. Prophets spoke of divine will and eternal law. Every civilization carried the same hunger, to know what is real, to touch what is true. The age of science. In time, the search took new form. The scientific revolution shifted truth. From revelation to observation, Galileo turned his telescope skyward. Newton wrote the laws of motion. Darwin described evolution. Einstein bent space and time. Each discovery was not the end of truth, but another step in the search. Each opened doors to more questions, more mysteries, more awe. Science did not silence philosophy. It deepened it. It reminded us that truth is not a destination, but a horizon always moving further away. The shared journey. Pause here. Take a slow breath. Realize that you are not alone in this walk. Every human who has ever lived has walked beside you in spirit. Children asking why. Poets singing of love and loss. Explorers crossing seas. Astronomers charting galaxies. Monks sitting in silence. All of them seekers. All of them bound by the same longing. This is humanity's eternal bond. Not answers, but the search itself. The beauty of seeking. There is beauty here. If truth were final, the story would end. But because truth is elusive, the journey never stops. It keeps us humble, curious, creative. It inspires art and music, rituals and revolutions, equations and prayers. The search is not failure. It is life itself unfolding, the eternal question. And so the question echoes, why is there something rather than nothing? Perhaps humanity will never answer. Perhaps that is not the point. The point is that we keep asking, that we keep looking up, that we keep walking together beneath the stars, bound by wonder. Truth is not only what we find, it is also the act of seeking, the courage to ask, the willingness to be unsettled, toward the final horizon. The stars above still shine, as they did for the first humans, as they will for those yet to come. The search for truth is eternal. It does not end with you. It does not end with us. And yet, as the night deepens, a final realization stirs within you. Perhaps the purpose of truth is not to be found, but to be lived. Ahead lies the last step, the closing reflection, to embrace the mystery, to live peacefully within it, to let truth be not an answer, but a way of being. The night has carried you far, from the whispers of philosophy to the silence of the stars. You have walked through questions older than time. You have touched truths in many forms, objective and subjective, absolute and relative, cosmic and personal. And now, at the end of the journey, you arrive at a realization both humbling and profound. Perhaps truth is not something to be conquered, but something to be lived. The circle of questions. You began with one question. Can ultimate truth ever be found? You searched in ancient wisdom, in sacred traditions, in science, in language, in silence. And the question remains, but it feels different now. It is no longer a burden, a demand for final answers. It is a companion, a lantern lighting your steps. The search itself has become meaning, living with mystery. To live with mystery is not to give up. It is to walk with open eyes, open hands, open heart. It is to accept that life is not a puzzle to be solved, but a song to be heard, a story to be lived. The stars above do not explain themselves. They shine. So too with you. Your truth is not in knowing all, but in living fully, loving, creating, wondering. The beauty of not knowing. There is beauty in not knowing. If all were explained, there would be no wonder. If all were certain, there would be no courage. If all were answered, there would be no search. Mystery keeps us humble. It keeps us curious. It keeps us alive. The humility of not knowing is not emptiness. It is fullness. A recognition that truth is larger than us and that we are part of it. Reflection in the night. Pause one final time. Take a slow breath. Feel your body soften into the quiet. You do not need every answer tonight. You do not need to hold the universe in your hands. You only need to rest in its presence. The stars above watch silently. Their light touches your skin. Their silence touches your soul. And you realize this, too, is truth. Not spoken, not proven, simply lived. The final step. So you take the last step of this journey. Not into certainty, but into peace. You walk not with answers, but with wonder. You rest not in control, but in acceptance. For truth is not a destination. It is a way of being. It is the courage to live authentically, the humility to admit what you do not know, and the openness to embrace the mystery. And so you rest now, beneath the stars, carried gently by silence, by wonder, by truth that will never end.